Murder is always a crime, and the murder of children is the most heinous of crimes. There comes a time when women and men must align themselves to correct action and moral fortitude and persistence for truth and justice. On the 26th of August, we call the nation to action. We are all guilty of war crimes, genocide and manslaughter by proxy. It is a crime under EU law to pay tax to our current government. UK law clearly states, the Offences Against Person Act 1861, whosoever shall solicit, encourage, persuade or endeavour to persuade, or shall propose to any person, to murder any other person, whether he, or she, be a subject of Her Majesty or not, and whether he, she, be within the Queen's dominions or not, shall be guilty of an offence, and being convicted thereof shall be liable to imprisonment for life, murder or manslaughter abroad, where any murder or manslaughter shall be committed on land out of the United Kingdom, whether within the Queen's dominions or without, and whether the person killed were a subject of Her Majesty or not, every offence committed by any subject of Her Majesty in respect of any such case, whether the same shall amount to the offence of murder or of manslaughter, may be dealt with, inquired of, tried, determined, and punished in England or Ireland, provided that nothing herein contained shall prevent any person from being tried in any place out of England or Ireland for any murder or manslaughter committed out of England or Ireland, in the same manner as such person might have been tried before the passing of this Act. The crimes associated with waging aggressive war, laid down in the Nuremberg Principles and the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, are also clear. If any person, in furtherance of a state policy, orders the use of force to attack members of a national, ethnic, racial or religious group, that person and everyone who takes part in the attack is responsible for the consequences, breaks international law and, if it results in the deaths of innocent people, commits the universal crimes of genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, aggression or conduct ancillary to such crimes. As such, considering no single Iraqi or Afghani has committed an act of war in the UK government is guilty of waging a war of aggression, and in paying tax to pay for logistics, weaponry, intelligence and so on, we are, under EU law, guilty of conduct ancillary to war crime. Tony Blair, Gordon Brown and David Cameron are all war criminals and guilty of genocide by definition of law. In a time of austerity, with people feeding from food banks, cancer patients being told they are fit to work as they die in hospital, NHS cuts and sell-offs, no more legal aid for the poor and vulnerable, the list goes on. The UK spends nearly £45 billion on these illegal wars, not including the £100 billion proposed for Trident, exacerbating the massive debt problem and bloodying our hands in the process. Do you feel any safer for that £45 billion? The evidence is mountainous. UK troops are complicit in the displacement, impoverishment, brutalization, torture and murder of thousands of innocent Iraqi and Afghan children, women and men. Extensive info, documentation and evidence can be found here. www.makewarhistory.co.uk. As it stands, we will walk through Chester handing out information and evidence to the general public, so that they can do their duty as citizens and report these crimes to law enforcement officials, as well as making our presence as conscientious objectors and citizens standing on the law known. Depending on numbers, we will make a stand outside numerous key locations in Chester, but numbers are everything. As well as informing the public of the nature of these crimes, we will draw attention to the imminent criminal involvement in Syria as well as illegal airstrikes and operations in Libya. We encourage all Anons, occupiers, 99%ers, and conscious people in the UK to join us on this day and report these crimes. Perhaps even carry out your own Operation Grass and inform your towns and cities of this massive and endemic crime against humanity. It is your duty to stop the killing and harm of innocent people in your name. It is your lawful obligation to report a violent crime that you have witnessed. Join us.